In this video on Advanced Find for Microsoft Dynamics for Sales, we're just going to cover some final hints and tricks. There's just one in a series of videos we've done about the Advanced Find function, and we just wanted to round off that series just with a few things that we hadn't covered in the previous videos. You can see links to those videos below, or indeed if you've got any future content suggestions or you need some help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links for those below. So let's just go through some of the additional pointers that we wanted to cover. The first one is that if you're creating a new query, it's generally a lot quicker to go from somewhere, a previous query you've done or a previous personal view you've created that's close to the query you want to run. So it can be close in a number of ways, close in terms of the data that's on the screen, or close in terms of the query itself, so ideally both. So for example here, if I just click, I'm in the contacts view, I'm in my default view which is all contacts, but if I click on the right arrow I can see all the views here. So there are a series of system views, some of which might be close to the query I'm going to run, and then I've got some personal views as well. Again, those might be close. So let's say I think test 2 is very similar. I can click on test 2, perhaps that's got the data I want to bring back, or if I just go to the edit filters, perhaps those filters are very close to the ones I want. Then I start from that view and then I just add to it. So it's a lot quicker to do that than start from a blank slate, so to speak. So that's the first thing I would mention. Secondly, just as a bit of a visual cue, if you're moving things around, let's drag and drop that column to the right there. If you're dragging and dropping things around, you'll notice when I did that, I get a little asterisk appear on that view. Now that tells me that I've changed it. So now, if I move off elsewhere in the system, those changes won't be saved. But it's telling me I've put a change in there. Now, I can save that, so I can save changes to current view, or I could save that change as a new view, a new version of the previous view. I've got those options, but if you see that asterisk appear, it's because a change has been made. Obviously, if you change a system view, you can't change a system view in the system, that's down to your administrator, but you can create a new version of a system view for yourself as a personal view. So just be aware of, particularly if you've changed something you want to save and you move away from it, so just keep an eye out for that asterisk. Now, the other thing I'd bear in mind is thinking about where you want to start your query from. So I'm just going to go to the accounts area here, and I might be that I wanted to do a query, but I might want to display in the view related, let's say, opportunity data. That's data held in a child entity from accounts. I'm running a query relating to accounts with certain, let's say, open opportunities. I might want to display those opportunities ideally in the view. I can't do that from the accounts view because I can only ever show either data held on the record you're in or a parent record. You can't show data from a child record. However, what I could do is go to the opportunities area and create the query from there. So in this particular case, I could go to all opportunities, I could edit columns, and because the account record is a parent record, I can include data from that parent record. So if I just add columns, go to related, see the related account, and let's say annual revenue. Well, it would be good if I could spell annual. Now let's go into the account, annual revenue, there we go. Close that, and I've put 2 annual revenues in by mistake there, but that's fine, you get the picture. So I applied that. Because I've gone from the child record, I have been able to include data from the related parent record. So where you start a query from can be quite important. The other thing that I wanted to show, and I'll go back to accounts to show it, is it is possible with a search to search for things that don't exist. So let's say I wanted to formulate a query that brought back any organizations that didn't have a related contact record. Now, you didn't used to be able to, originally when Advanced Find was a feature, this is not something you could do. It's a relatively recent addition. So I can go to Edit Filters here and add related entity. I'm going to add to, I need one-to-many, so in this case it's contacts, if I can see it, contacts. So I'm querying on related contacts, and then by default the operator contains data, and conventionally I'd fill out these fields. But what I can do is I can change the operator to does not contain data. I can apply that back now. So what it's saying is give me accounts where the related entity of contacts doesn't have any data. So there's effectively going to be accounts that haven't got any contacts associated with them. If I apply that now, it's come back with one account, and that's one I created, and I know I created it without contacts. So again, it is possible to search the system and do a search where you're looking for records that don't have associated data using this feature. Now, the other things I'm just going to talk about, maybe if I go back to contacts, and this is very much an example of doing as I say, not as I do, because you can see here my naming convention on these views has been pretty rubbish. I've, for the sake of brevity, when I've been doing these videos, I've called them test 1, test 2, test 3. Then we've got our system views. Now, it's really important, if you can, to give these names some meaning. So give them a proper name, proper description, because if you create a lot of different views, it's really important to be able to see instantaneously what each view does. So another reason for doing that is, as we'll see in future videos, is that when you're building marketing lists, you can build marketing lists based on existing advanced finds that you've created. So having a very clear naming convention can help you locate the correct advanced find or correct view more quickly. The next thing I wanted to cover is formulating queries, because the number of times I've seen people make decisions or publish data based on advanced find queries they've run, but they've run incorrectly. It's quite easy to make mistakes. A few tips around formulating your query. So first of all, if you're running a query, have a think about exactly what fields you need to use to bring back the data you're looking for. For example, if somebody said to me, right, we want to see all orders in the system from October, you start to sort of raise questions. I mean, what dates are we going to use for selection? Are we using the order date, the shipment date? What orders do we need to include? Do we need to include cancel orders, returned orders? When you sort of dive into the data, it's not always crystal clear as to how to formulate that query. So you need to think about how that query could be best formulated. The second thing I'd say is, when you're thinking about queries, think about what you believe to be the number of records that will come back when you run that. So if you think, if I run this query, I should get about 100 records, you come back with 20 or 1,000, it's telling you something's probably wrong. So it's good to have a figure in mind before you run a query. And thirdly, I say, when you run a query, look at the data that's brought back, look at the list. is there anything in there that doesn't look right? Look at it, investigate it. Is there anything that isn't in the list that you think should be? Then go through those lists, open up the records, have a look at the record. Is that the sort of record you're intending to be incorporated? It's very easy when you're formulating advanced find with multiple criteria to include or exclude data that you really wanted. So that's around how you can best formulate queries. I think the final thing I'd say on advanced find is you really can't break anything. So this is something that you can dive into, use without fear of breaking the system in any way, shape or form. So you shouldn't really be afraid of running an advanced find. You may not bring back the data you intended. Always, it can often be a bit of trial and error before you get to what you want, but you're not going to break anything in the process. Anyway, hopefully this video and the series of videos on advanced find have been helpful. If you want to see links to others in the series, see those below, or if you've got any content suggestions or indeed need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, see the links below. Thank you very much for your time today. Hopefully catch you again soon.